Hey everybody, welcome back. Sorry, been gone for a little bit. We're gonna do the red squirrel gold from Bergman's Trout here. Great little streamer pattern. Here's a little bit of 360 gold metal tinsel, gold tinsel rib optional. I went with it. Red hackle throat, not wound, tied on. Fox squirrel wing with a honey badger hackles, and jungle cock 4 eyes. This is a 4XL size 8 streamer hook, debarbing it. I'm using Vivus black 8/0 thread, and just getting it started on here. And then I'm using gold oval tinsel, Uni French gold oval tinsel. I'm gonna tie it in on my side of the hook, and wind it back. I don't wind this fast. I'm speeding this up. This is a fun little pattern. I love to fish these small streamer patterns. They're just a lot of fun, and this is pretty straightforward, pretty easy one. And I think it's got a lot of angler appeal and a lot of fish appeal to it. So just tied that oval tinsel all the way back to the end of the bend, coming back forward, an open spiral turns. Not so, personally, I don't worry too much about a thin, fancy even body here. When I'm wrapping the Mylar, it's going to cover it all up. So this is a medium Mylar. Gold and silver. Just gonna cut a really harsh angle here, a fine point to tie it in. I'm tying it gold side facing the camera, silver side facing me, and I stopped a little short at the beginning where the head is gonna be, so I can wrap forward the tip there, and then I'm going to start just straightening it out there a little bit, the hook. I'm going to now just wrap the Mylar around, and I sped this up as well, so we can not have to stare at me while I'm winding Mylar too long. And you know, close turns, I don't think you have to worry about a little bit of space here. And then you get to the bend, come back around. I like to just throw my finger there to save my work, so to speak, in case something slips or lets go. Then it can get super ugly, and you got to start again. And coming around now, I'm going to come up to the pretty close to the front here, to tie it off. A couple turns in front and in back there, just to lock it in place. And then I'm going to cut it below the hook shank, just have the bump be there, not on the top. And now going to do the rib with the gold oval, just a nice even spacing. I'm not interested in a particular number of turns here, just make it look like a little bit of even segmentation, a little bit of flash there. Helps also anchor the Mylar from any sort of breaks or twists as you use the fly. And this is a fishing fly. That's a little bit of Vinard's wax, that a little bead I've warmed up in my fingers there. I'm just getting some wax on the thread because I'm going to tie in the fox squirrel now, and it helps to have a little bit of extra grip. The fox squirrel hair, it doesn't flare like deer hair, but it's a little slippery, and the wax helps with that. So just getting looking at a nice clump of hair, the size of the clump relative to the hook, and pulling it off the tail at a 90-degree angle, cutting it, just holding the tips or closer to the tips there and pulling away anything that's too short. because this is a small hook. It's a size 8, so we're really only using kind of the tips of these hairs. So now I'm sort of, the hairs, I want to go a little bit past the bend of the hook. So I'm just measuring that off. Now I'm going to do a pinch wrap, and I'm going around, but now I'm going around the hair but over the hook. So I'm creating a loop on the hair, and then back around and then around the hook. And I'm taking out the slack but not pulling really tight, and I'm going to drop that loop that I have around the hair in the position I want. Slack taken out just like the weight of the bobbin, taking out all the slack, holding it on there, and then get it where I want, and then I'm cranking a couple tight wraps, still holding it real tight in place. And now I'm using the angle, this is a down eye hook, I'm using the angle of the eye to cut that off at a taper, and I'm going forward, and again this thread is waxed with progressively tight turns towards the eye, and this is Vivis 8/0, so I can kind of crank on this. I'm each turn cranking a little bit more and cranking it really down. You can see the hook literally bending as I'm kind of cranking really tight there to hold that in place. And now I'm just checking. Sort of unavoidable when you do the tinsel rib to not have a bump here somewhere that kind of cocks the hair up a little bit more than you really want, but that's okay. It's not the end of the world. You don't want it to like stand up too much, and of course I'm playing with it because what else? He's always gotta play with it, play around with it. Now it's, even though we had wax and we cranked on it and it, we really got it tight. I'm just putting a little drop of some loose Sally Hansen's right there to soak in as I play with these hackles. So these are some light furnace hackles. Honey badger is what it calls for. This is kind of the sort of closest thing I have to that. I was using some silver badger. If you follow me on Instagram, I did this fly with silver badger, which looks cool also. So just measuring it there, strip away all the fibers so that you have the right length. You want it also to go just a little past the hook bend. This is going to be a blended wing. So these two feathers are going to be tight next to each other in the middle of the fox squirrel. So you want these two to be tied on top. And you know what? It's kind of nice if the Sally Hansen hasn't quite dried. You get it in there and you get it to harden only with a couple turns. Let it dry, and then you can see I played with it a little bit here. The two wings are straight, and I push the wing down and let the fox fur come up around it on either side, and that's the blended wing. That's kind of how you want it. So you can see the fox fur sort of around the wing, and a couple more turns, and the Sally Hansen here has also dried. Helps you hold that in there. Cutting off the butt ends and just gonna wrap them down, keeping things even on the head, and then back up to this general tie-in point. So I use a Regal, which is not a true rotary vise here, so I'm just gonna rotate the hook in hand, clip it back in there, so it's nice and level. Play around with it, and we're gonna do the beard now, and I'm gonna use red schlappen for this, for the red hackle fibers. I like the webbier, sort of thicker nature of like a good schlappen feather. So that's what we're gonna use, and just selecting one there, getting some nice fibers, and pull them out 90 degrees against the stem, hold the tips together, and just peel it right off. And now we got to measure. I like it to be almost like a wet fly beard. I've seen people, they like it like really along the shank and staying sort of flat against the shank and really, really short. I like it pretty short, but I like it to stick out like a beard, sort of almost in the images in plate 10 in Trout. So just trying to get the length right and the pinch right here. Then I'm going to trim off the excess and tie it in. A little pinch wrap just to get the thread on it and lock that down in. Double check it, and a couple more wraps, and get the butts locked, and get that tied in. Just checking it. Now we'll rotate it back. Last thing to do are the jungle cock eyes, and get that set in the vise properly. Double check everything. Get that hackle down through the fox squirrel fibers. All right, back. Took a little break there. Came back, and during the break, I cut it there. I was like selecting my jungle cock eyes. I have a cheap cape because I fish these flies. I'm not a framer. So these are all split eyes, and that's cool. It doesn't matter. I hope they get hit by a lot of fish, so I'm not so worried about the split eyes. And you want to try and angle the jungle cock eyes so that they're not quite following the line of the hackles, the colored segment in the middle, but are canted like slightly below that. It's not the easiest thing to do. You'll get one perfect and another one not so perfect, but that's the idea. And I was playing with it a lot there. I cut that out so you don't have to see the adjusting of the angles. And then once you get it where you feel pretty good about it, pinch them and do a couple tight wraps, and then get rid of the stems here and wrap it up. I've seen some of these with much smaller heads than I'm ever able to pull off. I start off with a super small head, and then somehow it gets big. I got to work on that. But I don't mind the aesthetic of the larger head. But if you can figure out how to get it smaller, you might like that better. This is whip finish, and that is all. Give it a little 360 here for you to see. And there's the finished fly all glued up. Thank you.